Today we're going to take two Glock handguns. One is in .40 caliber and it has traditional iron sights. The other is in 9mm and has an RMR, which is brand new. We're going to look at the disadvantages and advantages of each and see which one comes ahead for you if you want to shoot a Glock. I'm Jimmy with RHINO Tactical, and you're going to learn something today. Hi, welcome to the channel. So you can't make up your mind between a Glock 9mm with an RMR or iron sights or a Glock in .40 with iron sights or an RMR. But here we're going to talk about a few things. First, let's get into this. This is a Glock 17. It's in 9mm. It has an RMR sight. Some of the things it has a magwell funnel on here. We've stippled the grip. It has a RMR cut in the back, and it also has a dragonfly cut on the side here. This is made by ZevTech for me. One of the things that I have done is I've put suppressor sights on it, which raise the sight plane up a little bit higher, because if you use regular iron sights and something happens to your RMR, you will not be able to see because your sights will be too low. So let's quickly discuss some of the advantages. Obviously, the advantages is once you get this thing wired to where you could find the dot and go, it's a lot quicker, right? Another advantage is it's quicker possibly from target acquisition. If you're looking at this way, you look to the left with your eyes and you bring the dot over. One of the things that you do not want to do is you don't want to stay on the dot and then bring the dot over. You never want to do that. You want to stay on target first and bring the dot to the target. Same goes with the iron sights. That's a couple of advantages. So speed and ability to transition from targets faster and faster. Some of the disadvantages are it has a larger learning curve because you're coming out of the holster a little bit differently, and there are different schools of thought on that. Another disadvantage is this relies on a battery. It's tech. So sometimes your battery might go out, right? The third disadvantage is you can break that little window and then forget about it, which is why I was saying to buy suppressor sights on it, because if you lose this, then you will always have the backup irons to use. So those are some of the disadvantages and advantages of the Glock 9mm with the suppressor sights on an RMR. So now that we've talked about the Glock 9mm with an RMR sight, let's talk about the Glock 40 with traditional iron sights. Now these iron sights are made by Terran Tactical Innovations. They have a red front fiber optic sight, which the sun picks up and makes very, very bright. Again, I've customized this with a magwell, stippling, a couple of engravings on the side, RHINO Tactical little logos on top. But other than that, is a stock gun. Now, here we go. The advantages of iron-sighted guns. Obviously, you're not going to have any breakdown, okay? You're not going to lose any electronics or anything like that. It is very, very quick to do target acquisition once you learn how to use iron sights. The third advantage is you can go from target to target very, very nicely. But here's where it gets kind of interesting. Disadvantages. Disadvantages, if you knock these sights, just like if you knock an RMR, you're going to knock them out of whack. So you always want to make sure you're zeroed in. Second disadvantage is as you get older, you know, my friend, actually acquaintance, Jerry Michelik, he was telling us one time that he said, as you get older, you just, put the fuzzy on the fuzzy and you press the trigger. So as you get older, the slot in the back and the front might become a little bit distorted for you. Whereas a red dot, that's where the advantage comes in a red dot sight. It's better for older eyes. So disadvantage on that. But advantage is because these are battle sights. If you can do anything to them, you just got to make sure you don't just run them over or whatever. But that is the ultimate advantage of these, is that they are like go-getter, and you can like knock them around to a certain extent and you won't knock out any electrical components out. So having said that, looking at the advantages and disadvantages of this gun, let's go out and shoot them both. See which one you guys like better for what you want to do, competition and or self-defense. Okay, folks, so here we are. We're going to pit the 9mm against the .40, but remember, the 9mm has the RMR, the .40 caliber has the traditional iron sights. So theoretically, I should have quicker target acquisition with the 9mm, but because I am so practiced with the .40, you may not notice a difference. But we're just discussing the advantages and disadvantages. Remember, the advantages of the RMR is you can pick it up quicker. Disadvantages is that if you knock it around, you might blow out the screen. You might lose the dot. There's certain disadvantages, but it's definitely an advantage to be able to pick up the dot sight quicker if you know how to use them. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot 10 out of probably the 40 first, and then I'm going to shoot 10 out of the 9mm with the RMR. So we're going to go back and forth, and let's see how we do. So first, we're going to start with the Glock in 40. Here we go. Oops, that's 9mm. We're going to go here. I want to get them confused. So here we go. Let's start with the 40. I'm going to go swing from target to target, way outside. Here we go. Okay, now we're going to shoot the traditional 9mm. Now you guys might see this a little bit quicker or a little slower depending on how I am with this dot. So here we go. Let's fire 10 out of the 9. You see that? A lot quicker out of the gate. All right, back to our 40. Let's try the 40. Here we go. Okay, 40. There's your 40. Back to the 9mm. This has a little bit lighter trigger. Woo! Faster. There we go. That is a 9mm. Let's try again the 40. Last 10 rounds. There's your 40. A little bit quicker for me, target acquisition, because I'm used to 40 a little bit more than the 9. The 9 has a quicker trigger, but I'm able to quickly acquire these sights a lot quicker. And shots, if I miss, the shot's going right over the shoulder. So it's still in the A zone, which is about, I don't know, 5 by like 10. So I'm still hitting. These targets are a little bit bigger, so I'm going right over the shoulder if I do indeed go over. So now let's try and finish it up with the 9mm. Here we go. To tell you the truth, I can't tell a difference, but the RMR is obviously more of an advantage when you learn how to shoot it because you can get the dot on the target quicker. However, remember, it's a disadvantage if you're in battle situation, you're a police officer or something where you get knocked around in a fight, it may knock out your RMR. But if you practice with a traditional iron-sighted gun, you can get rid of all the disadvantages because you have the suppressor sights to fall back on. Hope that's a little bit something. Hope you enjoyed us shooting both guns, and we'll see you on the next video at RHINO Tactical. Have a great day.